On the evening of January 24, 2023, in the town of Duxbury, Massachusetts, 3 children died in their family's home. Their mother has never denied what happened. What's been argued in court for the past 2.5 years is why, and whether the law should hold her criminally responsible for it. Lindsay Clancy was, by most public accounts, an unremarkable success story before that night, a labor and delivery nurse, married to Patrick Clancy, raising 3 young children, 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and an infant son, Callan. Friends and co-workers described her as devoted and capable. Court filings note that after Callan's birth, Clancy had been struggling with severe postpartum depression, and her legal team has said she was undergoing psychiatric treatment and medication adjustments in the months before January 2023. That matters, because this case has become a flashpoint in a much larger conversation about maternal mental health, one we'll come back to. According to prosecutors, Patrick Clancy left the house for roughly 25 minutes to pick up food. When he returned, he found his wife severely injured, having fallen or jumped from a second-story window. She survived, but the fall left her permanently paralyzed. Inside the home, prosecutors say, the couple's 3 children had been strangled. Lindsay Clancy was arrested and arraigned from her hospital bed. She was charged with 3 counts of murder and strangulation. She pleaded not guilty. This is one of those rare cases where the central facts of what happened are not seriously in dispute. Clancy's own attorney has said she doesn't contest that she caused her children's deaths. The trial has instead centered on a single legal question: was she criminally responsible for her actions? In late 2024, Clancy's defense filed formal notice that she would pursue a defense of lack of criminal responsibility, commonly known as an insanity defense. Her attorney, Kevin Reddington, has argued that Clancy was in the grip of postpartum psychosis, not simply depression, at the time, and that she was over-medicated by her treating providers in the weeks before the killings. Clancy and her husband have since filed a separate civil lawsuit against some of her medical providers, alleging her condition was mismanaged.
Prosecutors have pushed back hard on the insanity framing. During the trial, one of the state's rebuttal witnesses, a forensic psychiatrist, testified that while he believed Clancy was experiencing a major depressive episode, she still retained the capacity to understand right from wrong. He pointed to a statement Clancy reportedly made during the act, telling investigators she said, "Go to God," arguing it showed an awareness that what she was doing was wrong, not a break from reality. This is the crux of nearly every insanity defense case. It's not a debate over whether something happened, but over what was happening inside the defendant's mind at that exact moment, something no outside witness can observe directly. The trial itself was delayed multiple times, first for scheduling reasons, later to allow more time for psychological evaluations and evidence exchange, including a fight over interview notes a magazine had obtained from Patrick Clancy. It finally began in mid-2026 at Plymouth Superior Court. Because of her paralysis, Clancy's transport to and from the courthouse became its own legal battle. Her attorneys argued she needed medical transport. The sheriff's office maintained standard transport was adequate. The trial has drawn national attention, with tens of thousands watching live streams of testimony. Outside the courthouse, supporters, many wearing pink, have rallied on Clancy's behalf, framing the case as evidence of systemic failures in postpartum psychiatric care. At the same time, online communities have circulated unfounded conspiracy theories about the case, including baseless claims about who was responsible, claims with no evidentiary support that have been widely rejected by reporters covering the trial firsthand. Expert witnesses have testified for both sides. Forensic psychiatrists retained by the defense describing a woman in acute psychosis, and prosecution experts arguing her actions, including attempts to conceal or minimize what happened, point to someone who understood the gravity and illegality of what she was doing.
At the center of all of this are 3 children, Cora, Dawson, and Callan, whose deaths are the fixed, undisputed fact underneath every legal argument being made. The trial will ultimately answer a narrow legal question: whether Lindsay Clancy is criminally responsible under Massachusetts law. It won't answer the harder questions this case has raised about mental health care, about how postpartum crises are missed, and about what accountability and compassion can look like when they're forced into the same courtroom. If you or someone you know is struggling with postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, the Postpartum Support International Helpline is available.